right, everybody. Hey, welcome back to another Veteran Chat here on Heart of a Volunteer Veterans Podcast.
Hey, Chris, man.
Yeah, what's up, Ryan?
I don't know if I like that intro, man. I think we need a little more energy there.
You just want me to redo it?
I got a better idea, I think. You mind if I do the intro this time?
Oh, is that right? Go ahead. Go for it, man.
All right. Hey, everyone. This is Ryan Wempe. I'm your co-host today, up from San Antonio, Texas. I'm the owner of ChummyVet.com, and I'm joined today by my co-host in the Lakeside Studios here at Lake Texoma, Chris Noel. And here's Heart of a Volunteer, a Veterans Podcast. Hope you enjoy the episode.
All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to another Veterans Chat here on the show. Ryan, welcome to the Lakeside Studios, my friend. Since I moved in here, I've been trying to get you here. I'm glad you came, my friend. Thank you.
Oh, this is awesome, man. I love your digs. I love your spread. Lake Texoma is beautiful. I had no idea this body of water was here. I didn't really understand, when I hear that term, Red River Country. It's gorgeous up here, man. This is a great place.
The water's a little low right now, but I think they're preparing for winter and rains up north and stuff like that. But it's the weather's been cool. It was very breezy. Of course, there's tons of trees around the LZ Ranger, so tons of great stuff. Hey, here's the thing, man. You came on SOG episode 27, season 1. January time frame, right? Like right before all this stuff really kicked off, with COVID. For the listeners, man, that have listened to Saga 27, what have you been doing, man? What's been going on?
Yeah, man, that was a good episode for me. I think we've talked before about kind of the ramp up for me and sharing some vulnerabilities on a podcast. It was a great experience. I'm very happy that I did it. I re-listened to that episode a few times, obviously, and after we talked, right, COVID hit, right? So it was kind of like, we all had to kind of deal with that. But I was kind of ruminating on what we talked about a lot, and I came up with this concept of ChummyVet.com, man, just out in my garage, like scribbling on a whiteboard.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, man, I got all these memories from deployments, and kind of one of the themes of that episode, I think, was just, don't ruminate too long on some of the traumatic things that you might have dealt with your wartime experiences and deployments. There was a lot of funny stuff in there too, right?
Yeah. And
so I kind of found myself I was like, man, I'm going into COVID, who knows, like stuff's getting shut down. How's this all going to work out? And I just had to kind of remind myself in that moment, it's like, what could I do that would be kind of funny, right? And be more of a positive trajectory through that process. So yeah, I basically said, hey, I'm going to put some of this adolescent humor to a whiteboard or to paper, right? And I'm going to see if I can make a business out of it, right? And so I formed an LLC, and I had a little help from my wife, who's kind of active in the online space, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, like let's do it. Let's see what I can come up with. And in my day job, right, I'm a digital product manager. I work with designers, right? So I kind of had a little bit of that skill set to some degree, but not nearly as mature as it's come in like the last 7-8 months. But I just thought, hey, I'm gonna create ChummyVet.com, and I'm gonna put apparel out there. I think I can put these designs on T-shirts and hoodies and stickers, and I think veterans will get a kick out of them.
Well, I did an episode. Well, I did a video when you sent your T-shirt to me, yodeling in the Kunar. Which is great shirt. I even got a coffee cup. Thank you for bringing that, by the way.
Absolutely.
Just so veterans, if you come to Lakeside Studios to do an episode, you need to bring something to leave behind, and it'll be on the set. So when we transition to video, your item will be here, and we'll have a conversation piece that we can talk about, things like that. Yeah, man. I love T-shirts, and I love funny T-shirts, and I love military T-shirts. So this is like right up my alley, man. Right up my alley. I think the thing is like when people hear the word chummy, it brings up, just kind of like a friendly person. But what is Chummy? For the listeners and somebody that's going to be going to chummyvet.com and getting the shirt, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, and we can talk about the origins of the word a little bit, but for me, just kind of the tagline, if you will, is just being an affable person, right? Just being happy-go-lucky, down for most anything, right? You go with the flow, right? It's that mentality, and for me, it's the mentality of a lot of people I was around in the military, right? Where it's like, all right, even in the suck, even in like tough experiences, right? They were like the ones cracking jokes, man. They were the ones like getting us through that stuff and kind of helping everyone cope, right? But just being themselves, man, being real, being raw. There's a little vulnerability, right, with comedy, right? You got to kind of, drop your walls down a little bit and be like, hey, let's laugh about the thing maybe I'm struggling with a little bit. And other people, they kind of connect, around that. And yeah, I just saw an opportunity, man. I thought, hey, if veterans can engage with sort of a comedic foot first, community happens a lot quicker, right?
Right.
And don't get me wrong, man. Like I love like when I see a World War II vet, Korea or Vietnam, and they got the hat on.
Yeah.
It shows like their service ribbons. I enjoy that. Like I try to talk to people like that when I'm around them. Our generation's a little different though, right? Like they're a little more, I don't want to use the word humble, but first of all, there's less of us, right? The 9/11 generation. We kind of feel like we identify more with each other just as a group. But for me, man, I thought, hey, this is a little bit of a pain point in the apparel market because if I can put something funny that's an inside joke, that's going to break down that barrier that's like tends to be kind of somber, right?
Right.
It's like someone wants to thank me for their service or another veteran. It's like kind of size each other up. It's just a weird dynamic. Like to me, it's like let's just make that easier. And on episode 27, man, we even talked about this, right? Like to me, it was one of the more awkward portions of that episode was like, hey, how do you deal with someone thanking you for your service? I'm not a somber guy, and I don't want to fixate on maybe the heavy rocks that are in my rucksack, if you will, right? Like wartime experiences. And I don't want to necessarily when I first meet someone, I don't want to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
But, I'd rather talk about some of the funny things that maybe happened. Or if I see a veteran and they can relate to the funny saying on the Kunar Yodeling Club, they're like, what's that all about, man?
You don't yodel in the Korengal.
Yeah. Did you ever yodel? I yodeled in Kunar. Did you yodel in Kunar? It's kind of
with the big guns. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a draw on an imagination, right? Yeah. I don't know how many times you were on patrol or whatever, and you'd like, man, it'd be fun to go snowboard that mountain.
Yeah.
Or I remember like, occasionally I'd go up, soldiers pulling guard, right? And they're looking out and it's like, hey, I wonder what kind of sport adventure thing could have happened here had there not been a war going on.
Right. Well, I mean, perfect vacation spot in the Korengal. Beautiful place.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Gorgeous place. Dangerous now. So
yeah,
not a vacation destination.
Yeah.
Ryan, when Chummy sounds like a British thing, man. Is it? Yeah. Does it have? It has origins in British culture.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit of that, man, because you spend a little bit of time with British, coming up, and then of course with the Australian Army for a little while. Can you talk about a little bit about that?
Sure, man. So like when I was a cadet at West Point, man, in the early 2000s, I got to go to Sandhurst, the Royal Military Academy in the UK, just outside of London there. And so I spent a summer with, these British officers to be and their NCOs, right? So you get on field problem and you kind of hear how they talk. And it's just like I was saying, it's like, oh yeah, we're doing a long road march. All right, well, crack on, And it's just like, hey, we got several kilometers in front of us, right? And they just had that mentality, like on a ruck march or whatever. It's like, all right, like just happy-go-lucky, we got to do it.
Right.
But it always it just seemed funny to me the way that they kind of turned it into this, hey, we're going to get through this together. But it was just that pointed, that wit,
Right.
That to me is what embodies Chummy. And yeah, the British Empire had, what was the saying? It's like the sun
never set on the British Empire. Yeah.
Right. So it's like you have all these, and it was their military, right? That was out there to the four winds, right? So you had guys and gals, and the whole envoys, right? They'd be out in what's now Afghanistan or the Pakistan frontier, you know, and that was their mentality that, you know, hey, I don't know how to deal with this tribal dynamic, right? You had to think they had to laugh about it, right? Like humor
going into the unknown.
Yeah, man, like humor had to get them through. I remember before, you know, we went to Afghanistan. I remember I got a hold of the Flashman series.
Yeah.
It's a book written in the 60s, but the backdrop was nonfiction. It was accurate, historically accurate for the 1800s, and it was about a British officer that was just, you know, kind of a funny persona bouncing around the Pakistan frontier, or I guess India at the time. But yeah, and he had a funny wit to him, and he was a smart dude that kind of could get through things using his humor and a lot of the soft skills to kind of make connections with people. And he gets in trouble and everything else, but a great series for anyone that's been to Afghanistan. I definitely recommend the book. It's funny, but yeah. And then going on further in my own personal experiences deployed, you know, we were around a lot of Brits, right? Just in our sister forces, right? And then I was around Australians for my last deployment, a lot of Australians.
Right.
And yeah, so that funny British accent coming into a meeting, or, you know, these guys holding a cup of tea and cracking a joke. You know, I like that. I love being around that mentality. So it was good, man. There's of some of the folks that have sort of that British background that I associate with the military, that's what's come out, is just that wit, man, that banter and that sense of humor. And it's everywhere, right? But I like the word, to be honest.
Well, I definitely can see where Chummy Vet really comes into play, because, you know, like we were talking about, it's like you don't want to dwell on the bad times,
right? Because
there's a lot of like insanely funny times during deployment. I know it's hard to imagine if you've never deployed, but it's almost like the job itself is like kind of a flat line, and the humor are these spikes that kind of break up the monotony of the deployment.
Absolutely.
And so what do you think, man, is a Chummy Vet? Who is this guy and gal running around?
Well, I mean, first, I think, you know, I think laughter is medicine.
Oh yeah.
I you know, there's a quote that I've thrown in, you know, on chummyvet.com, my website. Like, you know, I think Benjamin Franklin said it. It's like, you know, laughter is medicine. And you know, if you got kind of demons at the door, laughter is going to be what keeps them away.
Right.
But the other side of that coin is someone who builds community. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think what I'm trying to do with this concept of Chummy Vet is just remind people that how you're going to close the gap with people and build communities, try humor.
Right.
Try comedy. And the thing about people in the military, especially the 9/11 generation, right, is like the inside jokes, man. If you know how like you find something funny but no one else does?
Yeah.
I find that a lot, man. And it's like I don't want that to be dampened.
Right.
But here's the thing: if I'm wearing one of these shirts, right, or some apparel, right, with that's still how we kind of identify people out in the wild, right? So I mean, I've been wearing stuff, going to a coffee shop, and it's like some veteran spouse starts laughing, right? Because I got this ridiculous like dragonfly yoga dude,
pink shirt,
pink shirt, Kandahar hot yoga, and she's the spouse of a veteran. Yeah. She starts cackling, laughing out loud. This happened to me in Boerne, Texas, you know, a couple weeks ago, and he's got a service dog with him, right? The husband. He's obviously, you know, dealt with wartime injuries or whatever. She's laughing out loud. I'm like, hey, you like the shirt? Oh yeah, I like it. That's so funny. Yeah, me too. I'm glad you got a laugh. I am. I mean, that to me, we all wear stuff. You might be your own audience, but you wear stuff because you want other people to see it and get a kick out of it.
Right. Or you would wear it inside out.
Yeah. Why do we have Halloween? Right. I mean, it's the same concept, right? Don't take ourselves too seriously. So that's it, man. For me, is like I enjoy that engagement, but other people recognize it and they drop down a barrier, and then we can have a conversation. And it's not all doom and gloom, man. You know, it's not this like I don't want people to like thank me for my service and it feel like a memorial. You know, you know, like I said, we got some heavy rocks in the rucksack. I get that.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this idea of gratitude in general and this exchange of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to shut them down either.
Right.
But I also want to have a human connection with that person that doesn't feel just like I need to pause everything I'm doing to reflect on very deep things. Right. We can keep it at a high level, and we can be chummy, man. Keep it chummy. Like we can stay above the trauma and a lot of that. And as community unfolds, right? Yeah, sure. There'll be times where we can talk about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just when I'm at the grocery store or I'm wherever, like I just want to have a pleasant exchange. It's going to help me go through my day better, and probably that person too. And I mean, that's it, man. Just keeping it chummy, keeping it above that threshold.
I like how you say in the wild, man. So veterans out here in civilian land, the wild.
Yep.
Opening those doors of communication. It's like, you may see another veteran and be like, that's a veteran, but maybe they just look too serious. Yeah. And so you just don't go and say anything to them. But if they've got a shirt on that one is humanizing an experience with humor, and somebody's going to be like, oh, dude, where'd you get that shirt from, man?
Right.
Yeah. And, I think we were talking about this I've done this for a long, long time. I almost always start everything with like just a little bit of humor.
Yeah.
I think that past soldiers know the difference between me coming all about the job and coming as, with a little bit of humor, because you've always got room to go back to humor. But
right.
if you come in as an asshole, you can only go back to that. You can't make it funny after that. You can't be humorous after you've done it, but you can go back and forth if you start with humor first.
Well, here's the challenge, man. And I think we've all had this experience, right? When you're in uniform, right? Just pretend we're both back on active duty, right?
Oh shit! Here we go.
I go up to the headquarters, right? I got to get something done, right? Some paperwork has to get signed, or I got to present a case about something, but I got to go up to that higher headquarters, and on the wall, right? If you look at that wall, it's every command team in the brigade or division, right? It's like, oh my God, dude! Like they're all these stoic faces.
The wall of stoic.
It looks like people are about to eat you,
right?
But I mean, just imagine if you went on that wall, right, and just some dude has just this wide-eyed, bushy-tailed smile on his face, man.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about, right? Like, and I guess I bring that up because one of the points I'm trying to make is that the service kind of conditions you to be stoic, right?
Right.
To be all business, right? And I think guys and gals, right? I think we struggle to shed a little bit of that, right? And when we get out, I don't think that can be a wall for other people. It can be a wall for other veterans, frankly, right? And I think we see this too, where like some veterans, they'll say, oh, they almost see other veterans out there, running a business or doing other things, and they're like, oh, I don't do that. I'm more humble about my experiences, but they're also stern,
right?
And they you can tell they're carrying that stuff, and it's like, man, that's gonna close some people off, and some of the things you may want to do in your future, you're not going to get to do them because you're going to miss out on opportunities to connect with people, man. And that's really what it's all about. Like for me, this little apparel company that frankly I get a lot out of, it's about building connections, man. I mean, through doing this, right, through coming on your podcast and talking to people and being encouraged by other people that listen to the podcast and talk to me, and there's through the veteran lens, but we get beyond that. We get into other things that we want to nerd out on, right? Yeah. And so by doing that, it's like, oh, okay, I can go explore this other stuff, but it's the community that's helpful, right? Yeah. It's like, hey, you should go talk to this person or that person. Okay, I will, Yeah. Old Ryan, maybe I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'll just close myself off, turn on the Netflix. I don't really want to be around people. That's not healthy long term. Right. We need community. You got to feed it. You got to feed the beast, man. You got to nurture it. You got to nurture that persona, if you will, to go connect with others, man.
Yeah, I like that, man. And we definitely need more connection in the community because it is a community. It's a brother and sisterhood. It's always going to be. So you're in your garage, man, with this whiteboard. Yeah. Virus is going on. You're working from home. That's why you're in the garage.
Right.
Working on ChummyVet.com, getting it up and running. What are you thinking, man, as you're slowly starting to do this? And you said that something changed you to where it's like, I want to advance this.
Right.
What were you thinking through that time, man?
Yeah, I think well with COVID coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, and that was kind of that, I guess, March time frame, stuff starting to shut down, and there's an uncertainty.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's kind of like, okay, there's two paths I can go here. I can try to take this in stride,
Mm-hmm.
or let it kind of, even though I was trying to downplay it, or let it kind of consume me a little bit, right? And be like, I'm isolated and cut off. And I was like, man, I need to do something. And so getting in the creative space, right? My mom's an oil painter.
Yeah.
Right. So growing up, I would watch my mom, and she would encourage us kids. Right. I'm one of 4 kids. Be like, all right, hey, go color a picture, or go write something. It was always like, go let that creativity. Yeah, let creativity be a little bit of your outlet, and get in that space. Right. And my wife's a knit designer. She knits a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So she's already doing it. So it's kind of like, okay, am I going to sit here like a bump on a pickle?
Bump on a pickle.
and you can only work so much too. That's the other thing, right? Like working from home, I had to kind of learn to shut that off so I could recharge, and then be able to do it the next day. But yeah, you're mentioning like my garage, right? I put up a whiteboard and I just start kind of doodling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, here's maybe a concept I'm dealing with, and these are memories from deployments, right?
Yeah.
And what I got kind of stuck on was, what if you put that on a T-shirt?
Yeah.
That concept, and like the first design. I got a lot of respect for mortarmen, right? The dark horse, right?
Yeah.
It was an hourly, daily occurrence in Afghanistan to watch a mortar team, slinging rounds, dude.
Saving lives.
Yeah, saving lives, slinging rounds,
yeah.
and I guess I miss it a little bit. Like it's a little bit of longing for that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of replaying deployments in my head anyway. I was deployed 40 months, a lot of my 20s, right, in and out of deployments. And I'm sure you can relate, right? With all your time abroad. So it's like, okay, and I think about some of the funny things, and I was like, all right, let me just start jotting that stuff down. Smoking the Hindu Kush, man.
Right.
I was like, hey, and some of the humor for me, and you'll notice this in a lot of the designs. I only got like 7 or 8 at the moment that are out. I'm always kind of working on the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, hey, how can I take something that's here in the States, culturally sort of acceptable, or everyone sort of recognizes it, and put that veteran twist on it.
Just a little where the incongruity where you have to know.
Yeah, you have to know. It's like, why is there a mortar tube by the words Hindu Kush?
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's a gorgeous mountain range in Afghanistan that a bunch of Americans deployed to, and like me, they got to watch mortar rounds being slung.
Willie Pete burning the Hindu Kush.
Burning the Hindu Kush, man, and it's like, it's just a little play on words. But like I said, man, I've been out and someone will say, oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Bro, that's awesome. And then we get talking. And it's like, all right, oh, what do you mean by that? Or people reach out to me online.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how'd you come up with this design? Hey, I was a mortarman. And then I'm not even asking for it. Start sending me pictures.
Right.
Of a dude holding a Willie Pete round, and one dude reached out to me. He was out in Logman. And he's sending me pictures from Logman. Like people want to talk about their experiences,
Right.
So I was like, and I get a little pride with that, and I get to learn about someone, so yeah, I enjoy it, man.
Well, you talk about like sending you pictures and stuff for that first T-shirt. Can you talk about the process, man? Like
Sure.
You come up with an idea, and what are you doing with it from there?
Yeah, so it kind of starts on the whiteboard for me. I love whiteboards, by the way. As a former Intel guy, it all went up on the whiteboard, and then you kind of see things, and then kind of figure out how you would target something, right? Lethal or non-lethal effects, right?
Right.
I take that process, and I just, like I said, just start doodling, and then I may look up online different pictures. I try to get myself in the time frame or the concept, right? So if I'm looking at guys with mortars, I'm looking at pictures of our time in Afghanistan, or even some of my own pictures,
right,
to kind of draw out that motivation. And then I try to think. I mean, I literally just get a little bit in a quiet place, and this is that creative space that I enjoy. It's just me with my thoughts and a piece of paper. I got sketch pads too, or a whiteboard, and I start writing down things that I kind of remember, recall.
Right.
And so it's some of those sayings, right? And then I might go online and start looking at like business logos that maybe are appealing to millennials, right?
Right.
Or appealing to like society in general, where it's like a barbershop logo or like a racetrack series that's being advertised. And it's like, okay, how could I blend this stuff a little bit?
Right.
And so I get a kick out of it because it's like stuff from my childhood that I remember from like the 80s and 90s. And this happens normally in marketing and advertising anyway. Like you see that stuff and people relate to it.
Right.
And obviously that's a store they want to engage with. I'm just doing the same thing, man.
Yeah.
So I draw it down, and like I was telling you earlier in my day job, right? I work a lot with UI, UX, or user interface, user experience designers. So they spend a lot of their time building web pages and everything like that. So I've kind of developed a little bit of how to speak with designers. I'm not the graphic artist. Like I'm very crude in that, but I know how to kind of paint the picture and use the adjectives, if you will, on how to like, okay, here's like, I try to get the designer in that space. So I will hire a designer then, and I will go over my concept, and we go back and forth until I feel like we got the right design.
Right.
And then I go to work getting it in the file types I need, and then I go provide it to a fulfiller who will go put it on the apparel. And the whole process is learning, right? Like
right.
any new business, I'm amazed at how much you can learn in a pretty short amount of time. Just Googling a dream, you know. It's
Right.
like, all right, someone's done this. Let me look it up on YouTube. Let me look it up on Google and start figuring it out, right? So there's tons of companies out there that can print designs. I've screwed up. I've failed a lot in this already, man. But through those little failures and setbacks, you learn and you just keep going, right? And that's been fun, man. It becomes a little bit of a game,
Right.
you know. So then I get the design out there, and some of them flop, some of them do well, some of them I don't even know if people are seeing them. So I got to go learn the whole advertising piece of it,
Yeah.
and figure out how to market to these folks. But I enjoy that. I get a kick out of all of it. I wouldn't do any business. I would tell anyone this. Don't do any business that you don't like. You're not going to like it better over time. But I like witty sense of humor. I like deployment stuff, and I like veterans laughing. I just put that stuff together, and yeah, it's become a business.
Now, have you connected with other veterans and they've kind of shared like, hey, do you remember this? And
yeah.
And it's like, you know, so you get like an idea and you kind of work with them about an idea.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, and going back to that, you know, you're on the word chummy, right?
Mm-hmm.
My first customer, man, was awesome. My first customer was a guy named Carl Bilby,
Yeah.
who was our law enforcement professional back in 212 days.
The LEP. Yeah.
Yeah, the LEP. So Carl is a retired Santa Ana police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he was a ski instructor, Big Bear Lake in California. Before that, man, he grew up in Manchester, England.
Oh, wow.
You know? Yeah, man. So I got to reconnect with him, and he bought Smoking the Hindu Kush. Like
Right.
he bought two of them. And I wrote a big blog about his story.
Mm-hmm.
And his story is one of trauma, one of loss. You can imagine, right? Like he was on Operation Bulldog Bite
Right.
after we left.
Yeah.
Horrible day for the 101st. Horrible, great loss that unit dealt with. But what I'm trying to do, even in that article, is just focus on some of the positive. And Carl was that guy. Carl was literally the dude with the British accent in the talk, telling jokes, right?
Being chummy.
Being chummy, man. Like that was his, you know, and he had that same mentality as a night patrolman in Santa Ana. I mean, imagine all the crap you deal with, right?
Yeah.
As a police officer, you know, night shift in a dangerous precinct. I mean, it's chaos, right? But that was his mentality, right?
Right.
So it was huge validation for me. But to your point a little bit about like, you know, other designs, yeah, like people will reach out, right? And there's a connection. And you know this, right? Like the old XO for Baker Company, Brandon Bettis. Yeah, he was on your show, I think.
He was.
actually.
He did a SOG episode. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So Brandon's out there, right? And he starts going back and forth with me, you know, just Facebook Messenger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, have you thought about that? And it's fun, man. Like
Yeah.
I get a kick out of it. Like, and so now we're coming out with one, and I know I'm sitting underneath the last flag flown in the Korengal.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna have to. You're probably gonna have to go into that, man. Yeah. Well, do you mind? Do you mind kind of sharing the?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. So Baker Company, we closed out the Korengal, man, and we always flew a flag. And I mean, we even had one of the Leps came out there to the Korengal in the 2 years before his son had served in the Korengal.
Oh, no kidding.
So we're he's getting ready to leave. He's flying out later on that evening because, we only flew at night.
Yeah.
And so we, the company commander and myself and the company that was there on the COP, we did a little formation. And while the commander's talking to him, I kicked out a flag detail, and we brought the flag down, folded it, and gave it to him.
Oh, wow.
So we did that quite a bit. And the last flag, as we were blowing stuff up and getting ready to leave, the last stick, man, it was like, pull it down, pulled it down. And there it is.
Yeah, that's a piece of American history right there, man.
It was in, it was in the gun shop, too. It was in the gun shop for a little while, Gentleman's Armory.
In Ashland?
Yeah. Yep, back home. And, when the shop closed down, I brought it back down here. So, yeah, man. Yeah.
No, that's pretty
It's a good
cool.
piece of history.
It is. It's a great piece of history. Yeah, and I like talking about, the Korengal, the water. I like going kind of back there, especially with people that were there, right?
Yeah. So what about if you've got you've got a veteran that served with you, served in those areas, they've got an idea.
Oh yeah.
How can they get a hold of you to talk to you and kind of share some of that?
Yeah, I'm available. Like if you go on my website, chummyvet.com,
Mm-hmm.
at the bottom of that homepage, and I think it's pretty persistent on most of the pages, you can sign up as an email subscriber.
Right.
Or you can just send me an email direct, Ryan at chummyvet.com.
Right.
I'm on Facebook, right? Chummy Vet Apparel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can reach out to me and say, hey, I want to riff on an idea. I like it. I mean, it's fun for me to connect with people, hear some of their stories. And selfishly, that's what I get out of a lot of this. I mean, far beyond just the business context. It's just, hey, I get to engage with some veterans and,
Right.
COVID's going on. I'm not doing a whole lot. So, it's fun just to chat and hear what they're up to now. Community,
Well, I think the thing for veterans, man, the incongruity of a deployment, that's like a major connection.
Yeah.
It's almost, it's almost to the point where if you were into muscle cars and someone else is into muscle cars at the same level as you,
right,
same experience, you're both going to be like fanatical about it.
Yeah.
And I think that veterans are the same way. Once the door opens.
Right.
Once the door opens, then they're all over it.
And that's the hard part, man, is getting that door. I tell people, like, if I had a quote unquote mission statement,
right?
I think there's a lot of apparel out there today that's it's got like a political attachment to it to some degree, right? And I think that's fine. I got nothing against. I actually identify with a lot of that, right? But for me, man, I wanted to provide something a little more subtle, a little more insider experience, if you will, or inside joke that we could share. And that's what I try to reflect in the designs is more of that just, hey, you get it, right? Oh yeah, I get it. And then you start a conversation. So that's been my thing.
I've got a design that maybe might work, man.
Okay. Is this dovetail? You're gonna have to tell the audience what we were doing last night, man.
Yeah. Okay. So here we are, folks. We're here at the Lakeside Studio. We're sipping on a little bit of this Texas whiskey. It's Devil's River.
Oh yeah, it's Devil's River.
Devil's River, brewed right near, right here in Texas, and we're just talking about, veterans that we know, situations we were in, funny stuff, and everything else. And of course, I get to. I think you said like put the wood to it.
Yeah.
About something, and I was like, that'd be a good T-shirt. Own the day, but make day all capitals.
Yeah.
And then put the wood to it.
Yeah.
So, because the thing is, anybody that knows, and I'm not talking about just people that you and I know that served with him, because this guy has got amazing history.
Danny Day.
Yeah. 101st. I mean, all over the place, man. Just building leaders, NCOs, soldiers.
Yeah.
So people that see that shirt are going to know, and it's going to be a special inside piece. Yeah. And the big thing is, Danny has always given people like motivation.
Yeah.
Another reason to go and get after it. Put the wood to it. And I just think that's an amazing piece, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Danny's a great dude.
Yeah, we did, you mentioned Danny Day. I shot him a shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally unsolicited. I was like, hey, man, let me shoot you a shirt. And I didn't have like this conniving, goal in mind that I was going to feature him. But we just get to talking, chatting back and forth a little bit. And I'm like, hey, man, do you mind if I put something out? Oh, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an overwhelming response, right? Like people are coming in commenting,
Mm-hmm.
and they're expressing their gratitude
Right.
to a leader,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I love about it, and it's great that you got this dude from, he would kind of describe himself, and I remember this as a young officer, right? Like he was Sergeant Major Day, right?
Yeah.
And he'd pull you aside, and he would, talk about Chummy. That dude's a funny dude, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it's all the one-liners, man. It's just that like, and then we could have an exchange, and then I could learn something from a dude that's been in for 3. Dude, that guy's been on like 10 deployments. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. It's just like this incredible amount of knowledge.
He has sage knowledge of almost everything.
Yeah.
You want to learn how to be a better person. He's got sage knowledge for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the things my mom always said. I'm not worried about you with the people you're surrounded by. It's because of people like Danny Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That she knew I was in good hands. So
yeah, this little thing, man, I can't put my finger on some of the goodness that's coming out of it. It's good for me. Like we're talking about this nourishment stuff.
Yeah,
I've talked to some incredible people, and I'm sure you can relate. Doing this type of podcast. I talked 2 weeks ago with a guy who was a Vietnam veteran.
Mm-hmm.
He was a backseater in an F.04 in Vietnam. He was shot down.
Mm-hmm.
He was a POW, stayed at the Hanoi Hilton. And I'm talking to this guy, Rick. We're on a first-name basis.
Right.
And he's telling me about that experience, man. And then he's telling me about his years after Vietnam and what he goes. I mean, talk about it enriching. I mean, of all the meetings I had for work, that week,
yeah,
or like conversations. I mean, this is one that
the volume was turned up.
Yeah, the volume was turned up, and it's just one of those things, man, that you're just like,
got you right there. Yeah.
It got me, man. Like I was emotional the next day. And I was like, hey, I got no excuse.
Right.
I got no excuse in my life not to go enjoy things, and it is such a great perspective check,
right,
to talk with veterans. And obviously, his case is an amazing one, and he's told me at least that hey, he's happy if I do a little bit of a kind of recap of what he's done.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that, and it's Save the A10 Gun Run,
right,
is the shirt, right? And again, it's like I'm trying to make it a little bit comedic, right?
Right.
Interesting thing about that guy is he was not allowed to fly the first time go around, so he became a navigator. After he was a POW, comes back in the military and flies the F4. And I was like, are you insane? What's the lot? But that's good people, man.
Yeah.
Those people that are like, hey, they've learned a lot of things in their lifetime. And they had dexterity through war, right?
Right.
And then he advocated for the A10. Like there isn't a better person to put in that shirt to
right,
tell people his story. And I could care less if they buy the shirt.
Right.
I really don't care. I mean, I care a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. But I would love just for more people to hear our oral history
mm-hmm,
as veterans has to live on. If we don't tell it,
it's very rich.
No one else is going to tell it,
yeah,
or they're going to try to. And they're going to get it wrong. They're going to mess it. Yeah. And it's always the Hollywood bravado.
Like the movies.
Yeah, dude. It's not, I don't find it particularly accurate. And I got it. You got to hit the high notes in a 2-hour movie because it's entertaining. Mm-hmm. But beyond entertainment, how do we cycle these tools to other people? These little nuggets, right? Like, hey, how do I take that away? It can proliferate, right? Like it can move on to others. And they can get inspired by it too, right? And
right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I'm really getting a kick out of this in terms of having those little interactions or reconnecting with people, and people affirming it. Like I said, it's powerful. Right? I'm taking, in some ways, like even coming on your podcast to talk about some of the personal stuff. It's just led to all these other things. It's led to human connection
right,
with other people, and it doesn't matter that there's a pandemic going on. Right now, like I'm still, we got all this technology.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right now, I can go, hit up a friend I haven't talked to in 5 years, and we can chat right now if I want to.
Well, didn't you just get didn't you get a FaceTime last night from like a college buddy? It was just like out of the blue.
Oh, yeah.
You picked your phone up and be like,
Yeah, what
no,
is this?
actually it was sitting on the table. I go, yeah, I think somebody's FaceTiming you, man.
Yeah, I
and
felt
sure enough,
bad.
his buddy was on video.
No, it was my, you know what it was, man? It was my 15-year West Point reunion was going on. I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I'm at the lake house. You know? I'm at Lakeside Studios.
Right.
You know, I'll catch up. I'll get the cliff notes later. But yeah, man, it's just so easy to connect these days, man. Jump on a Zoom call. Set it up, man. Take the steps is kind of the point, right?
Right.
Just go reach out to people, man. You might have to jump through a few hoops, you know, in this pandemic era or whatever. But so what, you know?
Well, I hope more veterans come. You know, either make the short drive if the drive is short, come here to the studio, hang out for a little bit. I mean, even sitting at the bar and just having a conversation and or going down the lake and just kind of walking. We're working on an episode as we're doing that.
Sure.
And it's much easier to come in and knock it out. Yeah, man, even if they fly in, you know, I'll drive to Dallas and pick them up. It doesn't matter to me.
That worked pretty slick, man.
It's a great conversation coming back, laughing. We almost missed a turn because we were just having too much fun.
There was no mistaking your Jeep when it rolled up. There was no, hey, I'm not sure if that's Chris or not.
Heart of a Volunteer Veterans Podcast in the back. We got 43 downloads just yesterday from the drive there and back.
People just seeing it on the back?
The advertisement. People, I mean, you can look at those spikes. And if you look at yesterday's, there was a 43 episode download spike.
That's awesome, man.
And that's just from people just kind of seeing it out there on the road.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey, so Ryan, chummyvet.com, on there, you've got your write-ups that you do on the veterans that wear your shirts.
Sure.
They're on there. Hey, everybody, I definitely recommend go on there and read those write-ups that Ryan does. He spends a lot of time. He goes really deep, and he really captures the veteran. Their kind of their life. It's kind of like a saga, like a condensed saga, which is amazing.
Yeah, what I try to do, Chris, I mean, it's how we talk, right? It's just a reflection. I have a hard time trying to write up I don't want to write people up like I'm writing an award. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what I try to do, and I feel like I found a little bit of groove with this, and, you know, I'm not by any means a great writer by any means, but I enjoy writing it as if soldiers are talking or airmen are talking or a couple of Marines are, you know, so it's humor,
it's
right?
It's banter, yeah.
Yeah, and I try to do that with Danny, Travis Platt's on there. I try to do that with I can take enough away from just some basic, you know, career facts about folks. And there's things I didn't know. Like, I didn't know Travis Platt helped out at the Pentagon, you know, with the old guard when that all happened, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know, you know, and he was, you know, he shared that with me, and you know, he's got a small business. Why would I not share the fact that Duck Brothers in Colorado Springs is a great company with veterans at the helm? I mean,
let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
Since we promote veterans all the time, you do, I do. What is Travis's company?
Yeah, so he's with Duct Brothers, D-U-C-T, Colorado Springs. It's like an all-in-one HVAC company.
Yeah.
I think he's with his brother-in-law.
Very cool.
And they co-own it. And yeah, man, I don't know if you ever watch their stuff, but they're pretty funny, man. They put videos on there and they give stuff away. It just seems like a great company. But, you know, it's this whole thread, like our community, our veteran community, it's altruism can pay off, if that makes sense, right? Like we have this connection. We're going on to the next phase of our lives. Use and leverage those connections. It's not unpatriotic. It's not somehow a slap in other people's service, in my opinion, to just continue to evolve those relationships and say, hey, can I help promote to some degree what you're doing and vice versa? Yeah. You know, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like this is our community. You know, talking about business. I mean, if you've ever gone to a church, man, some people talk business after church. Yeah. You know, it's just like, this is how I spend my life and this is how I spend my time. It's natural that you're going to look for help and assistance from other people or skill sets, and they're going to bring something to bear, right? Right. So yeah, I mean, no one's going to do it but us, right? So I think just learning that skill set, and it's a little bit of a soft skill, right? And you only get better by doing it, right? But that's what I'm learning too throughout this whole process is you stack your talents around some of the challenges, and that's when other people come in. They look at the same problem set and say, "Hey, maybe I can help you out here. Or maybe you can help me out here." It's a scratch your back, you scratch mine situation.
Right.
But that's what's cool about it, man.
So you've got a little discount for the listeners.
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So any HOV podcast is, well, that's the discount code, HOV podcast. And
all uppercase.
All uppercase. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I'll just take 15% off, whatever you buy. I don't even think I have a time limit on there. You can use it for the foreseeable future, right? Okay. And you can, anyone who listens goes on, if you go on the website, kind of the way I have it organized is, Iraq and Afghanistan. And I'll probably break out more collections in the future. But you go in there, and they're kind of niche in the sense of, like, they're tied to different deployment areas. So it might be like Ramadi or Kandahar or Kunar. But I'll expand. I mean, some of those are my own experiences. Ramadi isn't. But the other ones are. And yeah, try to draw it out. I've already gotten feedback. They're like, "Hey, man, I need to see more Iraq stuff." I'm like, "Okay, I just didn't spend as much time there, but okay."
Yeah.
15 months wasn't long enough, apparently, to get good designs out of there. But
get some humor out of it.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing humorous about Iraq, almost. Yeah. Almost nothing.
Yeah. But the one I'm working on now, man, is the Korengal one.
Let's talk about that one, man, because it's getting ready to drop, right?
It is, man. Yeah. So I've done all the templates. I got the first prototype had to go out to the guy who helped me, right? So if there's anyone listening, right, like if there's any incentive, just know I'll probably send you if we go with the design, you're going to get a free shirt out of it, right?
Right.
And I'm going to send you a prototype. So yeah, he got the first one. He sent me a picture of it. But yeah, it's Korengal Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And White Knuckles, Big Buckles is at the bottom. And it's kind of like the persona Chummy Vet. It's this dude with an afro. It's like a red, white, and blue headband.
Right.
He's got this cheesy 70s mustache. And he's shirtless. And he's riding a bomb, like he's riding a Bronco.
Right.
And there's mountain silhouette in the background. And there's a bomb, like smoke plume on there. Yeah, it's fun, man. I have a fun time with this stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna slap it on a shirt and a hoodie and stickers, just like all the other designs.
Yeah, and
yeah, people can go buy them.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one to come out, man. I'll definitely be pimping that one. Definitely.
It's a little. I don't know. Is it shocking? Like I think Brandon was saying his wife was like, "Are you really going to wear that?" And he was like, "Absolutely. I am wearing that darn shirt."
And that's why you wear it. Somebody goes, "Are you really going to wear that?" It's like, well, now that you say it, every day. Yes, thank you.
Shocking on, man.
Oh, yeah. You know what, man? I am, we talked about some of the podcasts and stuff that are out there, the veterans podcasts, that I'm going to be trying to bring those guys on. You gave me two really good buddies of yours that have podcasts. I really like how you're bringing veterans in, man, to help you with, to get input.
Sure.
And then the way that you're just like, I mean, I know you got a business, man, but you're sending out free T-shirts to people, in this chummy style, right? It's like, hey, man, here's a T-shirt for you. And they're like, oh, dude, this is awesome. It's like, hey, can you get a picture? Can I get a picture from you?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I do this? I just want to share you, right?
Yeah.
You're sharing veterans, man. And as much as a veteran, like, I don't talk about myself well. I know you don't do it very well. But I think that's kind of the point, right? It's like we don't do it like really well, but if somebody else can articulate it,
sure,
and then add just a little bit of, a little bit of humor to it, kind of bring it all together, it benefits the veteran immensely. I mean, look at Danny's 14,000 plus views on that.
Yeah, engagement.
Engagements, and that right there, guaranteed. Somebody saw Danny smile, which is very infectious.
Yeah. And
they carried on with their day very well.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much crap out there, man. Social media, right? Like, I think, like most things, and you got to try to be a little glimmer, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to do, man. But I'm not trying to be so overt with it where it's all, bubble gum and rainbows, like I'm trying to put things through the lens of the way veterans look at stuff, and in a subtle way. And I think subtle is important, right? I'm not trying to hit you upside the head with it. I'm just trying to say, hey, look, this person has done some things, right? Some important things, and we should just be thankful.
Yeah.
Whether we ever get to shake their hand or not, like let's have a little gratitude that they exist, that they did what they did.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's like you said, let's take that positive energy and let that impact people.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, like I said, what I think Chummy Vet will always be about is telling that story. You know, I don't ever want to go away from that foundation, right?
Right.
Like, I want to make sure I can highlight some of those things. I don't want it to be over the top, Hollywoody, if you will. I just want it to be like, hey, these are ordinarily extraordinary people. They've done some of these things. I'm glad that some folks are now aware of it. Because let's be honest, man, like again, humility is a good thing. Humbleness is a good thing. But if no one ever hears the story, you know, then we miss that. That's lost. The oral narrative is lost, right? Yeah. So, I had a guy the other day, man. Actually, he's a friend of Carl's. I had this, you know, he's a judge in California, reached out to me. And he's just telling me, and again, this is the part I like, where he starts talking, hey, I know Carl, you know, really happy what you're doing. Oh, by the way, whenever I have someone who's in trouble standing in my courtroom, if they happen to be a veteran, he's telling me, I just tell them I appreciate what they've done, and we carry on from there. But I make it a point to share with people that are in a tough situation that even though I'm a judge and I'm sitting up here on this bench, I appreciate the service that they provided. That's powerful. Right. You know, that's good stuff, right? And so I get little stuff like that, and that keeps me going, man. Like if I'm like, oh man, I kind of want to flip on the Netflix right now and not do this. And that's okay. I have those days too, man. It's kind of the beauty of a small business, right? You get to work when you want on stuff. But that stuff gives me energy, right? And that's like, all right, let's keep going with this and see where else this will go.
Can you share with us one of your? I guess we both can do it. I enjoy talking about funny times during deployment. Can you bring up a situation during deployment that was absolutely hilarious? Now that you look back at it, it's just kind of like you can't believe it actually happened.
I think you need to tell, because I saw it from a different end at the battalion.
What's that?
You need to tell the Korangal ice cream story.
Oh, the return of that.
I think
that was
never return to sender ice cream. I think you need to tell it.
Well, there was only 2 times I ever was on the hot seat. One was because of a dog and Sergeant Major Capel, and the other one was our battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Pearl at the time, and he sent out like 6 of those Gatorade containers, you know, orange Gatorade containers with the white lid that you spun. Yeah. And I go out to the flight line. Of course, all of our resupply comes in at night. It's, you know, big danger from RPGs and stuff. And I come out to the flight line, and I'm like, hey, what is that? I don't know. I think it's ice cream. Open it. So, of course, there's, you know, the rotors are going. There's dust everywhere. They open up this container, pull the lid off, and it's the same kind of ice cream you would get at a Brahms. You know, it's big containers shoved down inside there, and I see that it's like cookies and cream, and I grab this guy by his shoulder. I go, put it back on there.
Put it back on the Chinook.
I go, put it back on the bird. I didn't know who sent it. They put it back on the aircraft, and the whole resupply is done. Right. There's no more birds coming in. That's it. Hour later, I'm sitting there at my desk kind of doing something, and phone rings. And all I hear is, yes, sir. First Sergeant, Colonel Pearl's on the phone for you. And, of course, I get the phone, being chummy like I am. Hey, what's going on, sir? I sent that ice cream out there for those soldiers, and they're going to get it. Who do you think you are sending it back? And I'm like, what the hell? What? I didn't know you. I didn't say that, but I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, oh no. Yeah. I'm sending it out again, and they're going to eat it. Yes, sir. Yeah. And of course, it showed up. But the thing is, by the time we got to enjoy it, it was soup. Yeah. That's just the nature of it. It's kind of like the sodas, right? Yeah. They set all this soda, and every time it would touch the ground, it would go right into a Connex and get locked. Yeah. And people would take soda down to the range and just shoot them.
Oh, wow.
Because we didn't drink soda out there.
Yeah.
We had so many people coming up on heat cramps, heat exhaustion, out on patrols.
Yeah,
just had to shut it down, bro.
Yeah.
Just shut it down.
Yeah, see, I saw the other side of that a little bit. I can't remember who, Brian Pearl, Colonel Pearl is this awesome dude. I think he had nothing but the right intent, but he was hot. I remember on that issue, it was like, get out of the way. Like he was he went off on someone, but it was kind of that thing like, hey, you guys are sitting, kick back up here at Blessing. Those boys out in the Korengal are dealing with it. I mean, he had his heart was in the right place.
I absolutely knew what he was doing. And once he told me, I was like, I'm like, dude, I hope I got my job.
Yeah.
I hope ice cream just didn't derail my whole career. I'm like, this would suck. Yeah. But no, you know what? I talked to him. And the thing is, I talked to him a couple of days later, and it was funny by then.
Yeah, yeah.
He calls me, hey, ice cream's coming out. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then once we had it, it's like, hey, it was good, sir. You know, we really couldn't keep it real cold, but it was really good. Guys loved it. Hey, I was just trying to look out. I'm like, hey, sir, I got you.
Yeah.
And we were right back where we were.
It doesn't always pay to be chummy in certain moments. That seems to be.
You can't be chummy when you're...
Later, maybe it was good. Yeah.
I was just waiting for a calf to come around and kick me in the back of the head.
Yeah, I think of a lot of like just funny conversations you have with people because the filter goes away. You know the deal.
Yeah.
Combat ops, dude. You're tired. You're overtired. You're dealing with some crazy stuff. It's chaotic. Mm-hmm. You really get to know people, man.
Yeah.
I got to kind of reminisce on it with Carl. I remember Carl telling me about like how his schnauzer would go steal his wife or daughter's underwear, and like he'd be wrestling with the schnauzer, right? And he's talking about it in a British accent in the talk, like as he starts talking, these soldiers kind of come around him,
right?
And he's talking about it, and they're like, "Oh man, yeah," it's just stuff like that, man. But that group in Kunar was fun, man. I remember Senti, and I think I told you this on the last episode, but Senti, man, that dude was hilarious, man. Yeah. I remember filling up his office with newspaper, like just all the way to the top. So he opens the door. It's like his birthday or something. Opens the door, just falls out. He just walks into it like he's just like ignoring it. Yeah. Or like I remember, duct taping people to flagpoles and stuff like that. And we needed that. Yeah. That's the other thing. Like I reflect on it now. It seems so adolescent and silly, but frankly, we all were like 20 somethings or 30s and some 30s guys in the 30s were like the old guys, right?
Right.
There's youth, right?
That was me.
Yeah. I mean that's the other thing. Like this company, right, that I'm doing in this reflection on the deployments, it's all about that youthful time period in your life, right? We were soldiers once and young, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's the youthfulness, right? It's like, oh yeah, 21, 22. When the majority of the population of people you are around. Mm-hmm. It's like a high school teacher. I imagine they probably have a similar experience, or like high school wrestling coach or something. It's like when you're around people, their brain isn't fully quite formed yet, and they don't have all the life experiences, but they're in combat, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right.
With their environment. And like trying to learn.
19-year-olds take on life is what you hear.
Yeah.
Right? 21-year-old take on life is what you hear. And it's fun to be around because it's high energy. And it's just a good time, man.
Now, did you notice that that youthful exuberance kind of brought you into it? Like it taught you new things and kind of kept you in kind of a younger state. I felt that as a first sergeant, man. Like all these young kids, of course, social media and all this, and it's just getting too fast.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to focus on the job, right? So I'm not like a social butterfly going and checking on this stuff.
Sure.
But other soldiers were, and they, and you have to pick up on that. And I did stay young by, because you have to if you're gonna take care of your soldiers, you got to know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And that always made it nice.
Well, you got to reach them on their level.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's the thing, man. Like, and again, I think humor is a doorway even in those situations. Like, if they could get the first sergeant to laugh, or they get company commander to crack a joke, mm-hmm. that means a lot to a soldier, right? Like, especially what they're going through, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think that energy gets contagious, and you got to meet people on their level too at times, So, right. It's a good reminder, I think. As I get older, it's a good reminder to be around younger people.
Yeah.
It's just in general, right? Like their take on things, and I mean, the funny stuff is you see the same mistakes. Yeah, year in, year. I remember company command time, man. Like, I have some soldiers standing in front of my desk. It's like, I kind of wondered, is this the first time they think I'm watching this type of behavior?
Right.
They got in trouble for something or just something. So it's like, so it kind of repeats itself. It's like you get to kind of watch the cinema year in, year out. And as I got older, I became a little more in tune with that. But I can imagine, man, you saw,
Yeah.
How many times did you stand by a soldier who's got to go stand for the man, and you're like, I've done this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's a little nuanced, but same basic idea, like, I got in trouble. There's a girl involved, it's all that stuff, man. But it's good, man. I like remembering that stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I enjoy the podcast. I get a chance to do that, reconnect with people, even if I'm just talking to them, maybe working on an episode that's going to be in the future that they haven't yet committed to.
Yeah.
It's still a great time to reconnect with them.
Yeah. I think we've talked a lot, man. I think you enjoy that process. Like,
yeah, I do.
Yeah, reaching out. I mean, there's a little bit of, hey, what are you trying to get out of this or not get out? And it's like, well, hey, this is me, and making people feel comfortable, and then you hearing their stuff. I'm sure that's pretty rewarding.
Sometimes it's like after I did this big segment, I did like 4 SOG episodes like back to back. I had to take a little bit of a break. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's
Katie Kopp, Mike Armstrong, those guys. I served with them. We went through some very, very dramatic things.
Yeah.
And to kind of relive that, I needed to kind of just step away and do these veteran chats, something just a little bit easier,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll keep it chummy, man.
Yeah, always keep it chummy, Vet. Well, hey Ryan, we've been rocking this thing for a little over an hour, man. Veterans have a very short attention span, so we probably better shut her down. We'll definitely do this again. I want you to come back on.
Sure.
I still want you to think about that, the idea I was talking about, not the T-shirt, but about us maybe having an episode where we get together and we talk about certain things and bring another veteran on.
Yeah, I love it.
Talk, man. I know you enjoy the podcast. I know you said that it's good for you on a personal level, and I like chatting with you, man. It's always a great time.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate
thank you for coming down and for being here on the show, man, and being chummy.
It's too easy, man. You live next to DFW, man. I flew here for $11 Southwest.
That's right.
My points, man. You, like I said, you got a great spread. You're out here in the country. You're living the lake life. It's too easy to get up here. It's a good excuse too. I got away from my family for a little bit. I'm a busy dad, and I got life's little stressors. But
you got some big things going on.
Oh yeah, big things, exciting things. Yeah. But it's good, man. It's just good to connect, and like I said, I gotta take the invitation too. Right. So yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. Now that I've seen it all come, this has got it going on, man. You got a good chunk of land here, and nothing but potential, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for coming on the show once again. Co-host close out. Co-host gets the final word. So talk to the listeners, man, and then we'll close things out.
Yeah. Hey, all you HOV listeners, I'd love if you check out Chummy Vet. Please read the content. Feel free to follow along on my Facebook page, Chummy Vet Apparel. What else is out there? Instagram, Chummy Vet as well. Hope to connect with you. Thanks for listening.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon.
Heart of a Volunteer, copyright 2020.